ABC Studios was in controlled chaos. Assistants rushed between sound stages, producers barked into headsets, and publicists whispered in hallways lit by the glow of muted monitors replaying last night's broadcast. The air was thick with panic, but inside a quiet office on the second floor, Karoline Leavitt sat perfectly still. Her posture was composed, her eyes locked on the screen in front of her. Before we begin, tell us where are you watching from, also subscribe. She hesitated for only a moment, then pressed play. The audio began with a low hum, background chatter, the kind of white noise that fills every green room before airtime. Then came the voice, unmistakable, sharp, and calm. "She's bait," Whoopi Goldberg said. "Let her blow up on air, makes better clips." The words hit like a slow punch. Karoline didn't react outwardly. Her breathing didn't change. She leaned back in her chair, eyes narrowing, as if confirming what she already knew. "They planned the whole thing," she whispered. The screen flickered. For a moment, her reflection glared back at her in the dark glass. Then white text faded in. They scripted her failure. Karoline's fingers hovered above the keyboard, trembling only slightly before she dragged the file into her public folder. She hit upload. "If you thought that was explosive," her caption read, "wait until you hear the next 2 tapes. And before we continue, let me know where you're watching from. If you like stories like this, subscribe. Tomorrow we have another one you won't want to miss." 30 minutes later, the internet was on fire. Screens across America lit up with the same headline: "The View Unmasked." It didn't matter which political side people were on. Curiosity cut through the noise. Twitter, YouTube, Telegram, even TikTok flooded with one name: Karoline. Her post didn't shout. It didn't accuse. It simply said, on a black background with white text, "L set me up. Now I'm setting the record straight. Listen to the full clip." The attached audio spoke for itself. Whoopi's voice layered with the hum of pre-show chatter, the unmistakable cadence of production chaos. Conservative commentators moved first. Senator J.D. Vance reposted it with a single word: exposed. Within an hour, Dana Loesch, Charlie Kirk, and Megyn Kelly had shared it too. But it wasn't just them. Independent journalists like Matt Taibbi called it real journalism. Even progressive accounts began to murmur uneasily. "Regardless of politics," one tweet read, "staging emotional sabotage is disgusting." The post climbed past 100,000 likes before noon. The consensus was clear. The recording wasn't fake, it was real, and it was devastating. ABC scrambled. Within hours, the network released a corporate statement. The clip in question is being taken out of context. The View is committed to diverse perspectives and respectful dialogue. Karoline's reply was instant. She quote tweeted them with 3 words: "Context? You want context?" Then she dropped tape 2. This time it was Joy Behar's voice. Unmistakable, sharp with disdain. "Let her cry, victim," Joy said. "These MAGA girls always crack under pressure." Then a man's voice. Flat, bored, the kind of tone that comes from someone used to control. "Don't let her say free speech. If she does, pivot to race. Quick." The internet detonated. News outlets scrambled to verify. Analysts dissected every second, and body language experts compared the leaked audio with clips from the actual broadcast. They noticed hand gestures between producers and hosts, subtle nods, glances, signals that suddenly made sense in hindsight. By noon, the story had jumped from online chaos to primetime scandal. Anchors read updates nervously, unsure if their own behind-the-scenes whispers might be next. Overnight, Karoline went from a dismissed guest to a national flashpoint. The leaks weren't just shaking one network, they were ripping at the foundation of how televised dialogue worked. For years, audiences believed in the illusion of debate, of spontaneity. Now they saw the script. By mid-afternoon, the 3rd tape began to circulate. It wasn't even posted by Karoline this time. It was leaked through a mirrored account before she could announce it. This one didn't just implicate the hosts, it dragged producers, PR teams, even a network vice president into the mix. References to staging moments, fanning outrage, and keeping the story alive for the weekend cycle echoed like confessions. The recordings were raw, unfiltered, and mercilessly human. By the end of the day, ABC's stock had dipped 6 points. Internal memos leaked within hours of each other. Employees whispered about investigations, NDAs, and legal firewalls. What had begun as one anonymous file now looked like the unraveling of an empire. Karoline posted once more that night, just a plain black image with white text. "You wanted the truth. You just didn't expect it to sound like this." The comment sections filled instantly. praise, hate, disbelief, conspiracy theories. Some said she was a hero, others claimed she was being used. But for the first time in years, everyone agreed on one thing: the media had been caught playing God. And as America watched in real time, the curtain fell away. The bright lights, the polished smiles, the pretend disagreements, all of it lay exposed. What remained was a machine designed not to inform but to divide. And somewhere in the middle of that fallout, Karoline Leavitt, once bait, had become the detonator. The next morning, the streets outside ABC Studios were lined with cameras, satellite vans, protesters, counter-protesters, fans, and skeptics, all orbiting a single storm. The network building, usually a fortress of control, now felt like a crime scene. Security guards stood rigid at every entrance. Inside, executives huddled in soundproof. Conference rooms, their faces pale, eyes red from sleeplessness. The words containment strategy echoed through hallways like a desperate prayer. Karoline Leavitt was already gone. While news anchors speculated about her motives, she had slipped quietly out of the city. Her phone buzzed non-stop. Calls from journalists, lawyers, and strangers who claimed to have her back. She ignored them all. She wasn't running, but she wasn't staying either. Somewhere in upstate New York, she checked into a roadside motel under a fake name and opened her laptop again. 3 unread messages sat in her inbox, all from unknown addresses, each with a single word subject line. Ready? She clicked the first one. It wasn't text, it was video. Blurry, low-res footage of what looked like a control room. Someone was filming a monitor showing a pre-show rehearsal. A male voice, calm, practiced, was giving instructions. If she pushes the election question, let Whoopi cut her off. Don't let her talk policy, keep it emotional. Another voice, female, asked, what if she mentions censorship? The man replied flatly, pivot to diversity. It works. Karoline's eyes stayed locked on the screen. The clip ended abruptly. The second message contained a list of names, hosts, producers, and one unfamiliar entry, Project Candor, External Liaison. She copied the name into a search bar. Nothing. No LinkedIn, no record, no digital footprint. Whoever it was, they didn't want to be found. The third email was only a text file. If they silence you, go to Channel 9. You'll find everything there. Outside her motel window, a news broadcast played from a diner across the parking lot. The headline scrolled in bold red, ABC board launches internal inquiry over leaked recordings. But Karoline knew the network wasn't investigating, it was burying, and she wasn't about to let them. She opened her encrypted drive and uploaded another clip, this one shorter but more dangerous. It featured Joy Behar again, joking off air, it's not about truth, it's about ratings. You want truth? Go read a book. The clip went viral before she could close the laptop. Within hours, a read a book trended worldwide. Memes, reaction videos, and think pieces exploded across every platform. Cable news shows filled panels with former employees, each now eager to talk. A former intern claimed producers instructed hosts on how to steer conversations toward outrage. A technician leaked time-stamped notes proving certain spontaneous moments were rehearsed. The facade was cracking, and the public could finally see through the glass. Back in New York, ABC's crisis team tried to regain control. Legal issued takedown notices to social platforms demanding the removal of copyrighted material. But the internet doesn't delete, it multiplies. Within minutes, hundreds of mirror accounts uploaded the same files. By afternoon, copies had reached servers in Europe, Asia, and encrypted archives on the dark web. The truth was no longer containable. Karoline received another anonymous message, this time on an old social account she hadn't used in years. They're coming for you tonight. You need to move. Her pulse spiked. She packed fast. Laptop charger, flash drive, nothing else. As she drove north along the Hudson, the city lights faded behind her. She didn't know who they were exactly. Corporate investigators, government operatives, maybe both, but she knew the story had moved beyond her. She was just the fuse. The explosion was global now. Meanwhile, inside ABC's top floor, a senior executive stared at a muted newsfeed showing Karoline's clips. He exhaled slowly, then muttered to the team around him, "We were supposed to control the story, not become it." A younger producer whispered, "Do we still deny it?" The exec didn't answer. Instead, he turned toward the window overlooking the city and said, "Find out who sent her the files before she finds the rest." That night, Karoline pulled into a rest stop. She connected to a weak Wi-Fi signal and checked her messages. One new email, no address. She hesitated, then opened it. The footage showed a different studio, dimly lit, older, a meeting room with network executives seated around a table. The audio was muffled, but one line came through perfectly. The narrative isn't about truth or lies, it's about control. Control the frame and you control the country. Another voice added, people don't watch for answers, they watch for outrage. A laugh followed, then static. The clip ended abruptly. Karoline stared at the black screen for a long time, then she began typing. Her next post wasn't emotional or dramatic, just 3 lines of text on a black background. They thought I'd stop. They were wrong. The final tape drops tomorrow at noon. Within minutes, the message spread across every platform like wildfire. Comment sections filled with countdowns. News anchors speculated on what could possibly be worse than what had already been exposed. Politicians prepared statements. Activists scheduled live streams. The world was holding its breath. At exactly midnight, Karoline closed her laptop, sat back on the motel bed, and stared at the ceiling. The glow from her screen cast faint blue light over her face. She whispered to no one, "You wanted a show? I'll give you one." Then she smiled, calm, steady, ready. Outside, the motel sign flickered in the darkness, the hum of trucks on the highway blending with the soft static of a world about to change. Morning broke gray and restless. Across the country, people refreshed their screens, waiting. News anchors, influencers, and anonymous commentators all repeated the same phrase. The final tape drops today. ABC issued no statement overnight. Their silence spoke louder than any denial. Inside their Manhattan tower, executives gathered before dawn, their faces drawn tight, phones buzzing with nervous updates from the legal team. Someone muttered, "If this one's worse than the last, we're finished." No one disagreed. Karoline sat alone in a small cafe off a rural highway. Her laptop was open, a burner phone beside it. Outside, rain slicked the parking lot, streaking the windows in thin silver lines. Her reflection looked foreign. Tired eyes, hair pulled back, determination hardening every feature. The file was ready. Final tape master.move, but she hesitated. This wasn't about views anymore. It wasn't even about revenge. It was about proof, about making sure no one could bury it again. She sipped her coffee, opened a secure connection, and hit upload. Within minutes, the video went live. Just audio, grainy, raw, unedited. It opened with laughter, glasses clinking, and a man's voice. "We own the outrage cycle. They think it's politics, but it's theater." Another voice chimed in, calm, confident, female. "It's not journalism, it's management. Keep the audience emotional, never informed." A third voice, older, rasped, "If they ever see how much we plan it, the illusion dies." Then came a pause, followed by something unexpected, Karoline's name. "What about Leavitt?" someone asked. "She's not media trained." Another answered, "That's the point. She's authentic. Real outrage performs better. Let her implode." A round of laughter followed. The clip continued, time-stamped weeks before her televised appearance. The speakers discussed audience reactions, narrative hooks, even camera angles meant to exaggerate emotion. "Cut to her face when she cracks," one voice said. "It'll trend." The audio ended abruptly, followed by a final, quieter recording. Karoline's own voice taken from a rehearsal mic. "I'm just here to speak honestly," she said. Then silence. Then the sound of applause. Manufactured, artificial, looped in post-production. The upload detonated across the internet like a second sun. By the time Karoline closed her laptop, millions had already downloaded copies. Commentators who had once mocked her now demanded congressional hearings. Independent journalists began piecing together connections between executives, political consultants, and entertainment strategists. The line between news and manipulation had blurred beyond recognition, and now the world saw it for what it was. Karoline's phone vibrated non-stop. Unknown numbers, news agencies, foreign networks offering interviews, podcasts, documentaries. She ignored them all, her inbox filled with threats, praise, and offers. Some begged her to stop, others promised protection, but one message stood out. It came from a name she didn't recognize. Candor Liaison. The subject line read, "You did what we couldn't." Inside, a single line of text. "They'll erase everything by morning. Keep moving." She stared at it, unsure whether it was warning or manipulation. Then her motel TV flickered to life. ABC had broken its silence. A grim-faced anchor delivered the statement. "The so-called recordings released online today are malicious fabrications designed to damage public trust. We are cooperating with federal authorities to determine their source." Karoline watched as the anchor's eyes darted nervously off camera, likely reading the teleprompter fed by the same people the tapes exposed. She almost laughed, but denial no longer mattered. Other networks were running the clips on loop. Independent analysts verified the audio's metadata, confirming timestamps, original encodings, and unaltered waveforms. Experts confirmed what millions already believed. The recordings were real. By noon, government officials called for hearings on media ethics. Advertisers began pulling funding. Talk show hosts on rival channels hesitated before delivering their own lines, suddenly aware of every microphone in the room. Outside the cafe, cars slowed to a crawl as people stared in through the rain-streaked windows. Someone recognized her. Within minutes, reporters swarmed the parking lot, cameras flashing through the glass. Karoline slipped out the back door, clutching her bag close, her breath visible in the cold air. She didn't have a destination, only distance. As she drove north through endless stretches of fog and pine, her phone lit up one last time. It was a notification from her own account. The final video had surpassed 50 million views. That night, the president addressed the nation. The speech was short, cautious. Freedom of speech and press are the pillars of democracy, he said. But when truth becomes entertainment, democracy falters. Networks aired the message, though none dared discuss its implications. Somewhere between outrage and reflection, America paused. For the first time, the audience wasn't just consuming a story, they were questioning it. Karoline stopped at a lookout over the river. The water moved slow and dark beneath the moonlight. She stepped out of the car, breathing in the cold, listening to the quiet hum of her own heartbeat. Her laptop was safe in the passenger seat, still open to her public folder. Empty now, except for one last unsent file labeled simply, "For later." She thought about the people behind those voices, the laughter, the arrogance, the control. They had built an empire on illusion, convinced that truth could be edited, shaped, marketed, and maybe it could, for a while, but not forever. The internet was merciless. Once a lie cracks, it never truly heals. Somewhere behind her, in that vast machine of lights and signals, the media scrambled to rebuild its image. But the audience had changed. They'd heard the raw feed. They'd seen how the show was made. There was no going back. Karoline closed her eyes and whispered to herself, "They scripted my failure, but I rewrote the ending." As dawn broke over the river, the world refreshed. Its screens again, waiting, watching, wondering if there would be another tape. But there wasn't. There didn't need to be. The truth was already out there, echoing through every device, every headline, every home. And somewhere, far from the noise, Karoline Leavitt finally smiled. If you like this video, then subscribe.